Thank you, everybody who has waited around for 50 minutes for this first NAYD debate. And the title of the debate is Aid versus Development. And we've had lots of problems setting this up today, but we do finally have Samuel Duru, who's an active NAYD member in South Africa, and Tinashe Dirwai, is that how you pronounce it? From Zimbabwe, and we may be having other people join us online before too long, which is great. But at least we have two arguing for development and for aid, so we can start the process off. Now, I have a few facts and figures here that I'd like to start the broadcast off with. It says that there are 1.4 billion people around the world who still live in poverty, and that economic growth is the most important means of raising people's income and reducing poverty as it creates jobs and opportunities. But we know that the world has disasters, climate-related maybe, war-related as well, and we can highlight the conflict in Syria, for instance, and the typhoon in the Philippines as recent events that quite clearly require the world to come together to provide aid for humanitarian relief. But many would argue that aid hinders development in Africa, that the money somehow disappears, don't know where, and it's not very effective. Maybe it makes people lazy, who knows? But then there were those who would argue that aid is very important. We need it for supplying antiretroviral drugs, for supplying water filters, for supplying food for malnourished children. So there are many positive arguments to be made for aid as well. So to highlight the arguments for aid and for development, I would firstly introduce you to Samuel, who will say a bit about himself, and then he will argue the points for development. Thank you, Samuel.
Thank you, Paul. I'm very happy to be part of this important debate. I see it as a very ineffective way of alleviating poverty and uplifting people from their sufferings and their poverty. You know, I see an approach where people are being developed, where people are being empowered with life skills that enable them to innovate and think and create solutions for the problems they see in their communities and on the African continent as a more viable approach, other than sending some aid, which is meant to provide certain amenities or certain things for people. It kills the idea of aid, kills creativity, it kills innovation, it causes over dependence, and it also intrudes corruption and oppression in the sense that when this money comes, the few people that get it, they use it to further their own nest. They use it for their own personal interest instead of using it to trigger development initiatives, to start projects that will benefit people. I've never seen that. Rather, it makes Africa to continue to be like seen like an underdog, instead of being a continent that is proud of its potentials and its human resources. So what my argument is supporting the fact that we should invest more in Africa. If whatever kind of support we are getting should be channeled on the development of human capital, the development of human resources, and it also gives us that spirit of self-reliance and and self-sufficiency. It helps also be more innovative and more productive. That way, we are solving the problems that we see on this continent. We are providing the solutions for our own problems. We are telling our own stories, and not maybe people from other continents coming to tell our stories or impose certain things on us. That is what aid causes. Because when you are giving someone an aid, you tell them what to do. You give them money, and you tell them what to do with the money. He who pays the piper dictates the tone. So that is the reason why even our democracies and our development here has really left a lot to be desired, because we seem to be not independent. It's like a modern form of colonization, because when an aid comes, the person that gives you an aid shuts your mouth. You can't do anything. Whatever they want you to do is what you do. So what would definitely benefit Africa is something that allow us to stand on our own feet. Like our young people, we need education. We need quality education. They need to get access to education. When they're educated, they have the technical skills and the problem solving skills that they need to start businesses, to create solutions for so many social problems that are seen in their communities and in their countries, other than and maybe receiving an aid, which definitely makes you to sit back and fold your arms and do nothing. That is the most I can say for now.
Okay, thank you very much, Samuel. The main point I picked up there, I think, was that aid takes away independence, and therefore for people to think about the issues and sort them out independently, which is a pretty important point. But let's move on to Tinashe now. First of all, just to check you are there, Tinashe. I can't hear you, mate.
Hi, Paul.
Oh, that's good. Thank goodness for that. And Tinashe, if you kindly like
to...
Yeah, if you'd like to go ahead and make the argument for aid, introduce yourself first of all, say what you do, and then let us hear why aid is important in Africa.
Okay. Hello, everyone, and thank you, Paul, for giving me this opportunity. I'm Tinashe Dirwai from Zimbabwe, currently studying engineering at the University of Zimbabwe. And in the next 5 minutes, I'm going to express my argument supporting aid. In as much as the African society would love to develop capacity building skills and entrepreneurship skills for personal survival, I see these things as luxury in a society where we can't even meet the basic needs. We can't even offer our children or even our elderly with the basic commodities such as water, access to clean water, food, and just basic education. So again, in a continent that has a large deposit of minerals, it's reported that our mineral reserves, our revenue from those mineral reserves from Africa, they were like 6 to 7 times the aid fund. So how can one account for this money concerning the aid money being chowed by the big guys up there? So what happens to the money that we are getting from our reserves, mineral reserves? It should be channeled for development, but it's not. So we should really be inclined to aid for the meantime, whilst we try to structure our own economic models. Taking Zimbabwe, for instance, we are in the process of structuring our own story, writing our own story. But to what extent should we hinder aid whilst we try to structure our own economic development programs, which is a guinea pig, which have been tried and tested And at what expense? At the expense of a large population that needs food, water, and all those basic needs. So my argument is we really can't stop aid to Africa right now. We really need aid. Whilst in the process we get aid, we structure our own economic development programs, structure our own economic development models that will create employment and allow income available to everyone, and also, which is a good part of development, but development is a process. Whilst we want to develop, we can't overlook the whole process of accessing aid from the developed countries. We could use that source of aid, that aid as our stepping stone. We could, for the meantime, rely on aid and in the process try to develop capacity building skills amongst ourselves so that in the future, in the coming times, we could be reliant people, self-reliant, independent economically, and the creativity in us will flourish in the event, in the process. Okay, that's all I have to say for now.
Thank you, Tinashe. Can I react to what you just contributed?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, so thank you so much for that wonderful contribution. I definitely get you. It's been more than 50 years now since a wave of revolution swept through Africa, which resulted in so many of our African countries gaining their independence. But I'm telling you, if we continue to rely on foreign countries to give us aid, it will do us more harm than good, because this is also an opportunity for some of these so-called aid givers to come into our continent, into our countries, and gain access to our abundant resources. We have so much. God has blessed our continent with so much resources, but the problem we're having is that these resources are not harnessed, for the development of all that is a descent of Africa, all that live in Africa. We're not using it to build our infrastructures. We're not using it to educate our people. Rather, we are most of the times we're exchanging it for aid. Most of these people that say they bring aid here, trust me, they also come here to siphon some of this, our resources. So whatever my stand, my position is that if we will ever have to exchange our oil, our bitumen, our platinum, our gold with other countries, it has to be in exchange for technology. It has to be in exchange for investment. Things that I'm in support of a situation where we'll have an opportunity to send African young people to different parts of the world to go and learn different skills. That when they come back home, they use those skills to start companies. They use it to help build stronger institutions in our countries, other than relying. Because if we continue to rely on aid, we probably might not get ahead. We might continue to be a dependent continent for the rest of our lives. So it's high time we started to think independent. It's high time we started to see the polarity between the ideals and the intentions of this aid and its actual practice and dividends. its actual results. I haven't seen any solid outcome or change that has resulted from aid. Rather, it makes people weak. It makes people to be not to innovate and create. So it's definitely something we have to start kicking against and support more development. We need to develop our people, develop human capital, develop human resources, develop infrastructure, develop our educational systems, our healthcare systems. Those are the areas we should be focusing our attention, and all the resources we have has to be channeled towards developing our economy and everything that will benefit Africa. Thank you, guys.
Yep. Thank you, Sam. We seem to have lost Tinashe momentarily, and hopefully he'll come back online shortly. The interesting information I've got here, it says that there are numerous forms of aid, from humanitarian emergency assistance to food aid, military assistance, etc. Would you see that there is a requirement for aid, Sam, say in terms of strengthening infrastructure? Say, for instance, in South Africa, the Chinese gave aid to help build a new road between Durban and Johannesburg. Would you see that as beneficial?
Well, aid that supports infrastructural development, definitely that's kind of material. Like maybe when you mentioned the infrastructure development, which is triggered or support the foreign country. That's for me. I think it's beneficial because we could see that through that type of aid, we can see something that we can feel, something we can see and say, yes, this is the outcome of this partnership or this support that we have received from so country.
Yeah, I think you made a very interesting comment. The word that stuck out for me was partnership, because many would argue that the Chinese building a road in South Africa isn't a partnership. They're doing it for a favor. They want something back in return. So. There are issues as regards, the politics in an arrangement like that. On the surface, it might seem beneficial, but under the surface, it might not be as beneficial in the long term. I don't know. I'm just saying what might happen in that sort of scenario. Yeah. I think that. We've talked as much as we can. To be honest, there's just the two of us now. We've lost Tinashe. So I'd like to take this opportunity for thanking everybody for listening in. This will be available on YouTube for people to listen into and make comments at a later time. And I do apologise for the enormous issues we've had with internet connectivity and issues with microphones and stuff like that. And as I said to Tinashe and Sam while we were trying to sort this out, I firmly believe that one of the biggest problems about development in Africa is the poor availability of internet, connection to the internet, and for people to find out about the world and their country and their region and their town by themselves, and also hear what other people's views are about this. And that way they start becoming empowered and start to decide for themselves, back to what Sam was saying about independence, start to think for themselves the right way forward. So while we would argue that aid is maybe only beneficial in certain circumstances, somehow Africa has to have a much more effective communication system put in place. Now, whether that goes through countries like Nigeria, for instance, that have lots of money and working with other African countries to develop a cross-continental communication grid, I don't know. But certainly my experience with working with NAYD over the last 5-6 years is that there are continuous problems with communication, and somehow that issue has to be top of the agenda for me to be resolved. But in the meantime, thank you very much to Sam and to Tinashe for giving us their time and their views on this important topic. And hopefully we'll be able to deliver a paper on this from the other participants who wanted to take part but couldn't link up, and we'll send that out through the social media, and we will welcome continuous dialogue on this issue. So thank you again, and goodbye for now.
Thank you, Paul. Thanks.